So I've got my guide bushing in, I've got my bit in, and I've secured my blank just simply in my vise here. So a couple of bench studs, and this is the sacrificial piece because I just don't want to run into my actual bench. So that should work. I've also went ahead and just kind of put the template on, penciled around it, just see if I like the look of that. I mean, it all looks nice. I basically centered this mortise on that center seam here. And then that's where that's going to go back down. So to secure that down, I'm going to use some double stick tape. This is pressure sensitive tape, so it works really well. It's not like that carpet tape that moves. You don't want that because as you're doing this, there's going to be a lot of rocking back and forth, and you don't want that guy to move back and forth. So I'm just going to put a few tabs of tape on this. You don't need much. You end up having a really hard time getting it off. But make sure it's pressure sensitive, so you really want to rub this stuff down to start with. And make sure your surface is clean. That's close enough. We really don't want this guy to move as we start going. So when that's in there, I went ahead and zeroed it out, and then I basically took the measurement from here to the bottom of this, so it shouldn't go too far below the actual part. What I'm going to look at doing, let's see, is I would like to, yeah, all right, this probably makes no sense, but so I'm hitting this one as the final depth. And so I'm just going to bring that guy over so that it leaves me about an 1/8 inch before I actually go all the way through. And the reason for that is right now we're kind of pecking down and cleaning out the majority of this. If I go all the way through when I'm doing that and that bit's waddling around, the exit is going to look real ugly. So right now I'm on the inside face mortising this. So once I've cleaned that out, the last pass I'll do is I'll move this back to the final depth, slowly go down so it breaks all the way through, then one push away from me and then back up, and that's it. And it should leave a really clean exit without little ridges, because I'm going to be pecking this and that will leave a couple of ridges, which doesn't do anything to the fit, but you don't want to see that on the outside face. All right, let's plug this guy in. Just want to show you, so I'm pecking it. So as I'm going forward, I'm just pecking down, kind of half the diameter as I move forward of the bit. And that's just to get the material out of there. But you can see it's packed in there now, right? So I've got to kind of come out, blow it out, go back and do that again. If your template was thicker and it had room for it to kind of just live in there without it, you know, getting in the way of the collet, that's okay. But that's all I could get done. It's not much of it because all those chips were jammed up. So now I'll just go back again, probably a few times, and then clean it out. So I've probably gone about 5/8 of an inch into this. So now if I've got this set up right, I should be able to just rotate to this guy, and I'm just going to go through once and back out. And I'll probably have to do that at least one more time, just letting those chips get out of there. All right, looks good, nice and clean. You just don't want to get in a rush with this, because I've had this happen in the past where I thought I got it all cleaned out, and then later on I realized like one or two were different, and it's a real pain. Since this template comes off, it's very difficult to locate back. So even if you do that like 10 times, just make sure you get all of it clean. But don't go back and forth, just plunge it up and out, plunge up and out as you clean it. So that looks really good. So now I'm just going to rotate this back and go ahead and finish off the other ones. So now that I have all 3 mortises done all the way through, and as you can see, it's very clean, and that's what we were looking for. You have a couple of options. So you could stay at the bench here, since you've got in that rhythm of mortising, take this template off, put it on your other one, but then later on you're gonna have to re-establish it back on here so that you can flush trim. Now, it's not that critical. Even if you're off a little bit, it shouldn't be that big of a deal. But it definitely makes a little sense to just leave this guy on here, go to the bandsaw, cut close to the line, go to the router, flush trim it, be done, then take this off. So that's what I'm going to do. The downside of that is, depending on your comfort level, and especially with these little tight radiuses, I'm not going to try to get in there and bend that blade. I've got a 1/4 inch blade, but I'll do a few relief cuts. Don't hit the template. If you hit the template, you're going to be really mad because then you may end up destroying the template. So just make sure you don't hit that template. One other thing I want to point out, couple options, and we'll kind of explain this a little more later on when we get to this. When we flush trim, you've got to figure out like what flush trim bit you have, so what diameter. So obviously this is a pretty tight radius, so this was really designed for a 1/4 inch flush trim bit. The downside of a 1/4 inch flush trim bit, it's a 1/4 inch. It's a 1/4 inch shank, so they tend to want to flex a little bit. So the bigger the flush trim bit, the better cut you're going to get. But now if you have a 3/4 inch radius, obviously as it comes in here, it's going to leave this 3/8 inch little radius right there. So the reason I want to point that out is make sure you know what bit you have, and then that way you can accommodate for that, meaning you're not going to come cut right up tight into this corner if you've got a 3/8 inch bit, because you're going to end up cutting too far past it, because that bit's going to come in here, stop there, and then come around. So just make sure you leave enough meat in those corners so your bit will clean it up and that you don't go too far past it. A 1/2 inch bit will probably be the best option there. So when I come and do this, I'll just make sure like I leave a little more meat in that corner and not try to get super close to it. And then later on, if you'd like the more crisper look to that, you can just get a file and work that at the bench. All right, so I'm going to go to the bandsaw now, leave this on, bandsaw it out, and then I'm going to go to the flush trim, to the router table and flush trim this one, and then we'll just repeat this step. So with the template still on and me bandsawing pretty close to the line, I've got my flush trim bit in. It's a 1/2 inch diameter, so it will leave that little 1/4 inch radius in the corner. Bearing is at the top, so it's going to be riding along this template. Another thing that really helps when you're routing and you don't have, you don't have a template that's like oversized, so it gives you like a lead in, lead out. Obviously we're going around this whole thing, so we can't do that. If you're trying to get right on that edge, it can get grabby and it wants to throw you off, so that can be pretty scary. Obviously, make sure your hands are out of the way, so if that does happen, it's not dragging your hands in. But a starter pin, a lot of people don't use these, but this just, it usually comes with the router, so you can see it's hair and hair. So starter pin, we're gonna end up conventionally cutting, not climb cut it, so we're going from right to left. So starting on the right side and going this way, and not left side and going to the right. That's really important to know, because obviously when you climb cut, you're going with the direction of the bit, the rotation, and that's where it wants to throw it on you. So the starter pin really helps because you can impact the starter pin first. Now you rotate into the bearing. Once you impact it, now you can come away and do your cut. Just really nice little thing there. So I'm going to start with the end grain because as I come along, I'm just going to go, counterclockwise, because as I come along, I'll slow down towards the end, but it might be a little bit of blowout this way, but then this will clean it up. Same here, little blowout, this will clean it up, little blowout, this will clean it up. So it's kind of handy to do that, and that way you shouldn't have any blowout on this. So let's go ahead and get this done. I'm going to leave my mask off because putting it on and off with the mic is pretty inconvenient. So, but I do recommend wearing a dust mask when you're doing stuff like this. There it is, pretty nice cut. There's a little bit of a mark there, so there's probably something kind of chipped this, and that's what that is. But there's no tear out, it's really clean. And again, we're going to be profiling this too later on. If you can see that, that's that there on this side. That's that radius I was talking about. So if I just went right up into that cut, you would see the bandsaw cut there. So that's why I left a little bit of room because I was planning on using a 1/2 inch diameter bit. So now I can pop this off and I'll just repeat this whole step again. And then it's moving on to the actual rails that connect these two together and getting the tenons done.